might want to sing it note
Hey,
for
welcome everybody to the
note,
space. As we are getting in here, Center, we just want to invite you to enjoy this space. Some music, some tunes. We want to let people come on all in and enjoy this space. We'll begin momentarily, y'all.
Love, joy, love, joy. Yo, I'm feeling so happy. I'm feeling so happy. Love how you feel.
Man, yo, I'm just feeling so happy.
Me too, I'm feeling so happy. I'm just feeling so happy. Sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm mad, but now I'm feeling so happy. Yo, haters can hate.
Hey,
I choose to love.
love,
You can throw fists.
Fists.
I throw kisses and hugs.
hugs,
I be the light.
light,
I like to have fun.
fun,
I stay shining bright.
bright.
You can call me the sun. I love what I do and I love what I think, but I say who I am, who I was. I love that I'm true to myself and I know that I love who it is I'll become. I know I'm not perfect. Yo, we just want to welcome everybody to this space. We declare it a safe space, a brave space, up front, forthright. But just because we declare it a safe space doesn't mean that it is safe. But what we know is that we're responsible for the energy that we bring into this moment. And this is kind of crazy, Lo. I was thinking before we even hopped on that it's one thing to be in a situation where it's like Zoom life. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're presenting, you're kicking a workshop, teaching a lesson or whatever, speaking behind these glass screens. It's a whole nother level to be behind the screen and then you're not even live with the people. So
Word, that's real, that's real.
we're gonna try to keep it as live as we can. We want to make believe that like we're right there with you. We're rocking with you right in your home, and it's us together. And we hope that some of these messages resonate with you. And there's fruit that you could take away from this seed that we're growing into a tree. Yeah, yo, we're responsible for the energy in the room. We always like to let folks know what we're gonna be doing, and so what we hope that we do is this. This is the focus. Like first and foremost, we hope that we can inform you. You know, there might be something new that you hear, new perspective you gain, just new information you get, and you're like, yo, I could stash that away in my pocket. That's dope.
That's
I can rock
good.
with that. But we might not inform them, Lo. So if we don't inform them, we definitely want to make sure we do what?
Yo, if we don't inform, then we at least want to make sure that we affirm. Some of you are coming into these spaces with a multitude of lived experiences, and some of this you already tapped into. Some of this you like, yo, I teach on this, and I could lead this workshop. So if you could, then we just want to be here and be like, yo, we just want to affirm you in this space.
Yes, and if we haven't informed you or affirmed you, at the very least, we hope to inspire you in some kind of way. If you are inspired to just dig deeper into this subject matter, if you're inspired to go ahead and write a poem, if you're inspired to be intentional about how it is that you bring yourself joy, then we have done our job. If we don't do any of these things, then Lo, we got to go back to the drawing board, man. We got to be better and do better. But this is what it is that we plan to do today. We always begin from a place of thanks. We want to give thanks first and foremost to the ancestors who made it possible for us to be here today. We know that they paved the path so that we may arrive in this form with these words in our mouths and these feelings in our hearts and thoughts in our heads.
Yes.
We also know that it's our job to continue to pave the path that our ancestors have laid for those we will one day be an ancestor to.
That's good.
We always give thanks to the indigenous folks as well, right? Lo?
Most
I know
certainly.
that where I'm at, I think the specific tribe is Pakanuk tribe. But we want to give thanks to the indigenous folks who are responsible for the grounds from which we sit and stand upon. We know that without them, we would not be. And Lo, we want to give thanks to them, right?
No doubt, y'all. I want to give thanks to each and every one of you for taking the time out to invest in education, in community, in possibility, in equity, in healing spaces, in joy. And we know time is so precious, and we just want to give thanks to you for coming to this space to acknowledge the indigenous lands as well. I'm checking in from Philly. It's Lenape tribe and people, so I just want to give thanks to the Lenape for just stewarding this land and giving thanks to the folks who are here in this space in this very moment right now. So much love for y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Word, we don't take it lightly that you should make the active choice to be here with us, to invest your valuable energy and time. And so we appreciate that from the top, side, bottom, center of our hearts. Yeah. So why don't you let them know who you are, Lo?
Hey y'all, what's up? I'm Justis Lopez. Yo, this was me when I was little, but check it. I'm big now, and I want to tell you a couple things about myself. I'm a son. I'm a mama's boy. You see my mama right there. That's Judy Lopez showing love in the chat box. I'm not sure what it is, but if you love somebody, you could just drop it in the chat. I'm not sure how that's going to be, but yes, much love. I'm a hiker. I believe in the process of just going outside and just connecting with nature and what it does to the mind, body, spirit, and soul. I believe in community and organizing and collectively coming together. I believe in the power of education. Not only just knowledge is power, but the application of knowledge is power, right? So how do we go about and equipping communities and spaces and places with that? So I love to be in those spaces. My background is formerly as a social studies teacher, teaching in middle school and high school. And currently right now I'm in grad school studying education entrepreneurship. I love pizza, y'all. Y'all see that delicious slice of pizza right there? That's a custom pizza I made with some students back at Manchester High School. Delicious. I'm a brother, y'all, and a new uncle as well. That's my little sister, my little bro, Jayling and Jacob, and my cousin as well. I'm a DJ, believe in the power of music to unite and heal and move and groove and connect. And I'm also an incredibly lucky partner to the most amazing transformational soul on this earth, Daniela Lomos. I just want to give a big shout out to such an amazing, beautiful human. And how about you, fam? I'm gonna pass it on over to you.
Don't forget to tell them, man.
Oh, snap. I almost forgot, y'all. I love me some Funfetti cupcakes, okay? So I'm in Philadelphia, 201S 18th Street, apartment 1108. If you want to send me any Funfetti cupcakes, more free to welcome to.
Yo,
kick it out over to you, fam.
Yo, my whole soul is lifted. You took me to church just by introducing yourself, King. I appreciate you. Yeah, I want to say hello to everybody. I'm Ryan Parker. This is me when I was little, and I'm big now. So there, take that. I am a son. I am a mama's boy. I will just shout it out at the top of my lungs, at the top of the world if I have to. I'm a mama's boy for sure. I hope to one day be as strong and as funny as my mom. But what I really appreciate about her is her capacity to love. She's the kind of mama that just, she give things to people when she don't even got anything for herself. And so I love you, mama. I'm also a father. I always say this to Lo. We crack up about it. I'm a father. She's 3 years old. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to do my best to make her smile, to keep her alive. She made it to 3, so I'm doing something right. I'm also a husband. This is my lovely wife, Catherine. We eloped, snuck off to San Francisco. I tried to get the red pants to match the red bridge, to match the red shoes. Thought I was looking fly. That was a good day. I'm thankful to be colliding with her soul. This is my brother. I'm a brother. He has a heart of gold. My brother also suffers from addiction, and so that has been quite the experience. Anyone in this space that knows or doesn't know that can be kind of like that roller coaster ride. But I always enter by letting folks know that he has a heart of gold. I love him. He's in a good space now, and just support him, however I can. I'm also a friend. This is Amaka, my sister, who once was my 8th grade student, believe it or not, and now we are colleagues. And she's my baby's godmother. So yeah, there's that. I'm a runner. Can't run fast, but I can run for a long time. I'm also a poet laureate, Manchester, Connecticut. Woo woo, M-Tone.
M-Tone?
Yeah, I'm a hip hop artist, an educator. This is a photo of me with students that I had the great honor and privilege to teach and learn from. But right now, most currently, I work as a race and equity coordinator for the district of Manchester, working with the adults in the district. And I'm also a youth empowerment activist, and I'm crazy hyped to be here with you. Oh, I almost forgot too, you see? Peanut butter cups. Lo is on that Funfetti. I'm on that peanut butter cup joint. My address is right there. You could see it. Take a picture of it. Mail me some peanut butter cups, and I will put them in my stomach.
Yes, y'all.
Check in with them, Lo. Let's check in with them.
Yo, family, thank you for sharing that. I just feel uplifted, just hearing your energy and vibrational frequency in this very space. And we want to take some time to just check in with y'all. As we mentioned before, we know that folks are coming in from a variety of places, spaces, and energy, and we just want to say, hey, check in, see how you doing. and it's equated to what Parker loves to call this self-care check-in scale, right? And if you think about it, how heavy is the weight that you're all carrying in this space? 25 to 400 pounds. Think about the ways in which what you're carrying. Is it an easy lift? If is it a struggle, like a workout? If you're feeling like it's in the middle, but you're definitely exerting yourself. If you feel like I can't even barely pick up what's happening in the world and personally and professionally and this and that, or if you're like, look, I can't even, the current state of the world and what's going on right now, I'm just really struggling. No number is better than the other. We're just here to acknowledge and just check in where you at. I'd say right now, I just started up a grad school, so I'm like at a 150, like 175 with just like readings and assignments and things like that. But it's a good space. It's a good workout. It's something that I'm thankful for. How about you, fam? Where you checking in, Parker?
Word. I think that I'm checking in probably like at a 125. I'm rocking a 125. I'm getting a bit of a workout, but I can hold it. And typically when we check in like this, we have folks dropping stuff in the chat. We're able to kind of gauge the space and know how we need to be supportive emotionally, mentally, and even physically in a space. However, we're not in that situation right now, but that doesn't mean that you can't take a moment to pause and to kind of recognize what weight you are carrying. And it also doesn't mean that we can't help to hold some of that weight with you. And so we hope to offer that throughout the course of our presentation. We want to hold some of this weight with you. We want to distribute some of it. I'm at a 125, so I could pick up some of yours, Lopez, and we can do this together collectively. And that's what we hope for anybody who is listening and watching and who is a part of this experience right now. Thank you for checking in. Yo, we always begin with joy. So we begin and end with joy, and we're going to be getting into this right now. But I know that it fills me with joy to know that we're here together, with breath in our lungs, unified through intentions to do better and to be better. That's amazing to me. What else, Lo? What's filling you with joy right now in this moment?
Yo, fam, I just appreciate you naming that and saying that and just setting that intention. Like, that's what it is. It's an intention to be here in this very space, and that this very moment, this very workshop, we can take small steps to move forward collectively in community, to be able to create a world in which people are not even just surviving but thriving, and centering that joy is critical to this space that we are engaging in right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think that you even hit this one already. Yeah, we got joy to embrace. We have it. It is present. That
That's
narrative
good.
does exist. That narrative, we know that the trauma exists. We know that the drama exists, but joy exists as well. And the ancestors who came before us have taught us that it's possible to effect necessary change that leans into humanity. And that brings me joy in knowing that there's a framework already. There's the spirits of our ancestors here in the space with us that we can live by and operate from and function off of. And that fills us with joy. We want to kick it to you like that, right from the front. And we also want to be able to break down, what today's experience is going to be. And so we were able to, welcome everybody to the space. The unrepeatable, the magical, the undefeatable, the beautiful, the amazing, the phenomenal Justis Lopez is going to take us on a meditation ride, which always just is healing to my soul in terms of centering my joy. We're also going to break down Project Happyvism. We'll let you know what that's all about. We're going to explore joy in some dimensions of wellness based on folks that inspire us, right, Lo? Some of our our people that we look to and that we study.
Oh, no doubt.
that inform us.
Our heroes and sheroes and guides and North Stars. We're going to be talking about that in this space and breaking that down. And then we're going to kick it to what it looks like and remembering that, right? Centering that ancestral and living legacy currently right now, and how are we drawing upon that and centering this very moment in time and joy. And then ultimately, collectively and creatively, we want to take you on a reflective journey and have you center your joy in this very space and create. And we are so excited to co-create with you in this very space.
Amen. And so, let's get it popping. But before we meditate, here's a word that I just want to
speak on it, fam. Speak on it.
Just to kind of set the foundation. And like the first thing that I want to say is that just want to amplify it and center it, is that it's it's not our responsibility as Black and brown folks to fix the harms of the oppressor. That we often, and I do subtract the we, because I do want to just speak to my own experience and just say that I engage in this work because I'm interested in thriving as opposed to surviving.
That's good.
And so, so I always want to make sure that's at the forefront. Most specifically in terms of our topic of focus within this session, it really closely links to this year's Melanin Magic Conference theme of inclusivity. And so we will be talking about inclusivity through a lens of including yourself.
That's good.
So, because we often forget to include ourselves in these educational spaces, especially Black and brown minds and bodies.
That's good.
So we'll be calling on all melanated educators to remember to include yourself in the midst of the genius work that you do within an educational system that was never designed for you or by you, and still carries legacy of oppression that continue to harm you. We invite you to be selfish so that you may be selfless in the work of shifting paradigms and uplifting hearts and minds to the highest levels possible. We invite you to intentionally center yourself as the foundation from which true teaching and learning experiences bloom from, with a deep understanding that healthy flowers of teaching and learning will not bloom if the foundational soil ain't rich with proper nutrients.
That's good. That's good.
Our encouragement in correlation with the theme of inclusivity leans into self-care beyond trend terminology into the necessary realm of sustainability. And so today we're going to meditate on, and we're going to talk about joy and take you on a journey exploring joy in the context of justice and activism. And we will also provide some remembrance strategies for you to really tap into joy. And we'll close this dope set out, like my brother Lopez said, with poetic creations in which we can actually name what it is that brings us joy. And so with that said, we can move into that lovely, lovely meditation.
Thank you for centering that space, fam. I want to invite y'all just in this moment to just center this space. And I'm going to engage in an activity that I've personally gone through in different environments and spaces and places that have allowed me to personally center my joy. So at this moment, I just invite you to center your feet, center wherever you're at, office, bedroom, living room, and just close your eyes and pay attention to your breath. And I invite you to take one big breath in and one big breath out. And as you're centering yourself in this space, I want you to imagine that you are entering into a blank room. And in this blank room, there's nothing on the walls, there's nothing, it's just you in a blank room. And here's what I want you to do. In this room, I want you to bring one person. Think of one person that fills you with joy. This could be a person who's here who has transcended and is currently an ancestor. Cousin, mom, pops, uncle, brother, sister, grandma. Bring this person into the space. I want you to think of your favorite food. This could be something that you ate this week, maybe today, this morning, something that you're gonna eat, but just something that when you eat it, it just fills your spirit, your body with nourishing energy, but you just love to eat it. I want you to think of your favorite place you've ever been to. This could be a trip, this could be basketball court, it could be a walk, it could be somewhere. I want you to think of a place that when you go to this place, it just fills your spirit and energy and soul with so much joy. I want you to think of a book, podcast, something recently that you've like engaged in that's really filled you. Maybe it's going through your iTunes, Spotify playlist. What are you listening to now that's filling you with joy, that's nourishing your mind, body, spirit, and soul? Bring that into the room. And I want you to just allow that to fill you up. Like feel that abundance in your being. and allow yourself to feel that joy, receive that joy, and spread that joy. I'm sending you that joy right now in this very moment to allow your vibrational frequency to be elevated and lifted. And I'm inviting you back into the space to come back into your breath, into this moment. And when you feel safe, I want you to take one big breath in and one breath out. And open your eyes and join us back into this space right here.
Yo, King Lo. Just want to thank you for the meditation, for opening up that space, for me to really visualize and center some of these things that bring me joy. And I'm not gonna lie, like, of course, I focused on a lot of what you had, framed out in terms of the places and the people and the food. The food got me for sure. But I also began to just think about some of those other things that bring me joy, even the small things.
That's good.
And it really moved me into thinking about even what is this, like, what is joy? And what it is that brings you joy, and why is it important for it to exist? Why are we talking about this?
That's so good.
And just wanted to get some of your thoughts on it. While folks who are tuning in are thinking about, we encourage you to think about these questions and answer them with your own heart and your
Most
own
certainly.
head. But to just get a little bit from you, Lo, in terms of some of these questions that we have centered on joy.
Most certainly. And as I was reflecting on that meditation practice that we just engaged in, I was thinking about how joy is this essence that transcends happiness, that is ever flowing in our being and who we are, that shapes all aspects of how we navigate and engage with the world. And I was thinking about elements and things that bring me joy. And I brought my mom and my little brother into the space and my nephew. And I was centering some Thai food. I was like, yo, I love some Thai food. And I was thinking about playing basketball with the homies, and that was just bringing me so much joy. But even further than that, I was thinking about how joy is so essential to our existence and our role as educators. And I was thinking, and I was calling into this space, one of our mentors, Dr. Bettina Love. And what Dr. Bettina Love says is, she says joy is crucial for social change. Thinking about operating and navigating within these educational spaces, it is crucial for teaching. Finding joy in the midst of pain these past year and a half, 2 years. Maybe for some, you've been navigating this way before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And trauma is the fight to be fully human. A revolutionary spirit that embraces joy and self-care authentically, and love is moving towards wholeness because we know this system is broken.
Yes.
Acknowledging joy is to make yourself aware of your humanity as a human being in this world, space, and universe. Your creativity, your ingenuity, your determination, and your power and ability to love yourself and others abundantly.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And that's why it's so important for joy to exist in the work that we do, not only just in educational spaces, but for the work that we do for ourselves as humans, and how we show up to spaces and places, like as educators, as teachers, as community organizers, as parents and guardians, as principals, as assistant principals, as people who are working both in and outside of the classroom. This is why it's so important to sustain and center joy both in and outside of the work that we do.
Yes, yo, shout out to Dr. Love and all her magnificent work, and to you, Lo, for connecting these dots so eloquently. I know you like to kind of swing this into this moment for us, and so I want to go ahead and pass the mic back to you.
No doubt, fam. I want to just continue to build on what we just said, because as Dr. Love just said, or as we center the energy of Dr. Love, to find joy is the struggle and fight to be fully human in the midst of pain and trauma and immense suffering. And I want to take a moment to name, acknowledge, and have a moment of silence for the past year and a half, 2 years, as people are navigating multiple pandemics, of racial injustice and systemic racism, police brutality, a failed economic system where people are left at the highest unemployment rates in the history of our country, a climate crisis in chains that are literally affecting the day-to-day environment of this earth and the air that we breathe. And to the people who are here and no longer here and who have transitioned, I just center them in this space, in this very moment, in a moment of silence.
I also want to center the folks who continue to work towards shifting paradigms. Those folks that are continuing to work towards affecting necessary change, even in the midst of the turmoil that exists. And so I want to give, this moment of silence to those folks, and for all educators / activists that are in the space with us right now in this moment, as we engage for the work and the beauty and the brilliance and excellence that they contribute to these paradigm shifts that we are making. And I tell the other end of that because this is what our happyvism, our joy,
that's good,
leans into, right? The other half of the narrative as well. So sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm mad, but now I'm feeling so happy is equivalent to, yes, drama and trauma exists. And we're not trying to be cute about, saying just be happy and forget about it. It exists. You named it, Lo. But we also have beauty and brilliance and excellence and joy that exists. And so we take that time for all of those folks and contributors as well. And I know that you can kind of take us through this history, Lo.
No doubt, fam.
Just to kind of speak about the connections as it applies to education, history.
No doubt.
And impacts us now.
No doubt. And I want to appreciate you, Parker, for just naming that and showing the duality of it, right? And I just want to briefly just take us through this briefly real quick, because I know, we got limited time here in this space, but we are entering into this Melanin Magic conference centering intersectionality, inclusivity, and impact. And we collectively, in order to get to a space where we center joy, we need to understand that we are working within an institution that's foundational principle was centered on erasure and eradication of an entire group of people, Indigenous First Nation peoples of this country, of this space, of this land that we are on. And that is the legacy that of which we are operating in within these educational spaces. We're operating the legacy of legalized racism with the Chinese Exclusion Act that was written in the 1800s that has remnant effects of today that have allowed for so much harm to occur. It's building upon aspects that we continue to see in this very day today. Like what we see in the Jones Act and the ways in which that's perpetuated second-class citizenship for individuals on the island of Puerto Rico. In addition to this, it's building upon the legacy of the LGBTQI plus population communities in this space and family that have navigated not only just the Stonewall uprising in response to police raids, but are consistently navigating those spaces. Operation COINTELPRO, which gave federal approval for the FBI to legally sabotage the civil rights movement, and is building upon these legacies that I just outlined. But with that, I name that, acknowledge that historical aspect, because we have to understand that when we're in these spaces, we uphold or dismantle it. We either, it's just like, that's what it is. We either uphold that or we acknowledge it, and then we actively work to dismantle it. And the ways in which we do that is by centering joy, because everyone deserves joy, like Dr. Jen Wright has mentioned. And the ways in which that we get to that is moving into healing and moving into involvement and centering culture and spirituality and civic action and engagement and collectively coming together as a community and acknowledging that and moving towards wholeness. And as we continue on the words of what Dr. Jen Wright just said, I just want to center another one of his quotes that we have right coming up here. And he says, he was in a circle a healing circle with some young folks. And in the middle of this healing circle, a young person said, I am more than what just happened to me. I am not just my trauma.
Mhm.
And that is what we are, the energy we're bringing into this very space today. As
Yes.
Parker just mentioned, right? We acknowledge that, we acknowledge those elements and aspects. And now we're going to open up. We're going to open up into wholeness in this session. We're going to open up and allow the full elements of joy and healing and community and
Yes.
collective coming together
Yes.
to be in this very space. And it is this joy that we see right here in this very moment. And
Yes.
these very images and the portrayal of it being an active form. It's an act, an active form,
Yes.
something that we do. It's a verb, an active form
Yeah.
of resistance. It's a verb, y'all, that in the midst of everything we just talked about and we just centered, that we are going to actively center joy as a form of resistance and actually as a form of
Yes.
activism. As a form of activism to heal, to transform, to revolutionize, to be able to dismantle, but then create something anew. And that is what we are bringing to you today here with
Yes.
Project Happyvism and this community collective conversation.
Yes, 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 all of that and then some. Joy as a form of activism, happiness as a form of activism, happyvism. And it's not all upon us. You know, we deliver it only through the spirits of the ancestors who have
That's
showed
good.
us. They've shown us how this exists in their most inhumane situations, right?
Mm,
Witnessing and undergoing the most inhumane conditions. You know, my enslaved ancestors, you know, creating coded songs for escape as a form of joy, still
yes.
celebrating birthdays and still celebrating weddings, even while being enslaved, giving themselves forms
Mm,
of self-care by covering each other's work, creating songs, making fun of their so-called masters as a form of
mm,
joy, comedy from our ancestors operating in those spaces of detriment is proof that joy can continue to exist and persist in us, and that it's necessary for us to remember that and to center that. And so I'm so glad that you set us on that path, Lopez.
that's good.
And I want to give the mic back to you because there's so much
Mm.
wisdom that we harness and we're able to process and then give back out in alignment with this necessity for joy.
And I want to pick up where Parker left off on centering the energy of the ancestors and bring in the energy of the ancestor, Dr. Gloria Azaldua. And she talks about building upon what Parker just mentioned and centering that these inner and external aspects and elements of struggle and the ways in which people have conceptualized and really centered joy happens in the ways in which we conceptualize it and we center it. And how do we go about creating that? So we want to just bring to you a project that centers that creates that. That is the very creation and manifestation of what Parker just mentioned in his project Happyvism. A song, a book, and so much more. Tell them about Project Happyvism, fam.
Yeah, so just to kind of give everybody like just a little bit of insight as to how it all happened. You know, Lopez and I were at the Hip Hop Ed conference. Shout out to Dr. E and the whole Hip Hop Ed squad. And when we drive, often we're driving back home through New York. When we drive, we often play instrumentals, and so I had this beat. And I put the beat on, and then tell them what happened to you, man.
Yo, fam, you put that beat on, and something from the vibrational frequency of the music just hit my spirit, and it made me feel joyous and happy. It elevated my vibrational frequency, and I looked at you, and I was like, yo, fam, I'm feeling so happy. And then you looked at me, and what you said?
I was like, yo, I'm feeling so happy. We kept going back and forth with that, just kind of like clowning with it. It was just fun. But then it kind of swung into this whole, I guess, like notion of us focusing and zeroing in on like, what is joy? Lopez was like, yo, what is it? And how does this apply to us as Black and brown bodies and minds?
That's good.
What does this mean in correlation with us as human beings and us as educators, which is like one and the same, really? And so we just started thinking more deeply about it. And then you kind of tell them what you did. You were like, you kind of gave me an assignment.
Yo, fam, we gave each other homework and we're like, yo, let's really write this down. Let's reflect on this and transcend beyond this feeling of happiness that Parker had just mentioned and really write down and look at and reflect on this idea and notion of joy. So we wrote it down. Parker wrote his bars real quick. I went around. I was jumping around to different places. I was writing my bars under lighthouses, under bridges, under like all these different places, and I was just writing and getting inspired. And then when we wrote it, what we do next, Parker? After we wrote it, fam?
Yo, after that, I was like, we gotta go to the studio with this. These are bars. We got the beat. We got the bars. We got the content, the meeting. Let's go record it, archive it, put it out to the people so people can vibe with it, and also create these conversations centered on joy and maybe some action and how folks can center that within their own lives. And then we swung into a music video. We got to make this visual now. So we hit up Charter Oak, hometown, M-Town, right? Manchester, Connecticut, shout out. We was on the courts. We were filming with the people. And eventually wrote up a query. And we're like, yo, we got to contribute to this literacy. We got to turn this into a book, children's book. And so Lawrence Simone Publishing House picked up the query. They were like, we are with it. We want to publish it. We teamed up with Era, who just created the lovely illustrations in the book. Shout out to Sierra. And this is like what we ended up with in the end. Happyvism. This particular book centered on choosing joy, centered on a lot of the things that we've been speaking about, and making that something that we make sure that we amplify within ourselves and are consistent with, and that we sustain within ourselves. And we definitely need to shout out Dr. Melissa Sue John. This is a Black daughter and mother-owned publishing house who's doing so much work, right, Lo? Even outside of Happyvism, just doing so much work with literacies and authors, young authors, Black and brown authors. So just needed to make sure that we, shine some light onto her. And some of these illustrations that came out of the book, Sierra, like I said, was our illustrator. And these are some of the things that you will see if you happen to crack open this book. But more than the book is just like this important topic of joy as a form of resistance, as a form of activism, and a form of self-care.
That's good.
And so this is a music video. We don't have time to rock it with you right now, but we wanted to let you know that you can access this on YouTube. You can check out the song on your own time. But what we do want to get into is being able to provide you with a kind of a different lens on self-care.
Speak on it. That's good.
Yeah, like not just the self-care that you see when you get your nails done. Now, get your nails done. That's
no doubt. That's important.
Get your massage. Go to the spa. Do all that stuff.
Yes.
But also know that this joy that we speak of is applicable to how it is that we are counting ourselves, how it is that we are thinking about ourselves and feeling ourselves and knowing ourselves and showing ourselves that we are of great value.
That's good.
Worth, right? And so we kind of look at this through the lens of these remembrances, what we're calling remembrances. And the first one is remembering what it is that you owe yourself, remembering to forget, and remembering to name and engage in your joy.
That's so good.
Remembering what you owe yourself is kind of speaks for itself. Like the question is like, what do you owe yourself? When I pose that question to you, we want you thinking about what is it that you owe to yourself? Within this remembrance, we're intentionally calling on ourselves to remember that in order to be selfless, we got to start by being selfish.
That's
and
good.
That activism really starts with physical, emotional, and mental self-care, because we are the foundation. If we're not well, then we can't do well for others. And so the big question is how will you hold yourself accountable?
That's good.
Being selfish. How will you hold yourself accountable for being selfish? One way is to actively generate a list, naming exactly what it is that you owe yourself. And so I keep saying but it's really we. Lo and I, both collectively. We encourage you to take
Yes.
the time to intentionally generate that list.
That's
Now,
good.
that list might look something like this. I definitely owe myself the ability to not be excellent.
Mm.
We speak about Black excellence a lot, and I get it. But I just want to be mediocre sometimes and still embrace love and respect. You know what I mean? Like, I owe myself time to just laugh and smile, to breathe, laughter, loving myself the way I deserve, the ability to say no,
Mm.
boundaries, right? Remembering that I
Yeah.
originate from greatness. I owe myself that memory of understanding that I originate from greatness, that the
That's
narrative
good.
have been applied to my people for so long are inaccurate, and soul crushing and spirit murdering. So I owe myself to remember that I originate from greatness. I owe myself time to run,
Yes.
pushing on my skin, eating slow. Those small moments we talk about, Lo, is like tasting my food instead of
That's
just
so
rushing
good.
to the next project. Like, I owe myself that. And so I can engage, I can give myself these gifts and
Yes.
truly have that joy and create that within myself. Remembering to forget
Mm.
sounds strange, but this really is a second form of remembering. And it's within this type of remembrance, we call on you to remember, to forget and separate yourself from the negativity
That's
that
good.
holds you back. Separate yourself from that. This correlates with the notion of us blatantly stating and living by the idea that we have no time for those who cannot contribute to what heals us. We especially need to forget the people and ideas generated both in the past and present that harm us, and instead turn our focus on the true narrative centered on the excellence and the beauty and the brilliance and the genius and
That's
the
good.
glory and the joy
That's
that Black
good.
and brown folks
Yes.
originate from and currently consist of.
That's
Right?
good.
That's the narrative. There are far too many limited and even false narratives
Mm.
to Black and brown minds, hearts, and bodies that begin to seep into us in vicious ways that distract us from the truth of our greatness. And so it's
Yes.
important to remember to forget those false narratives. Forget them. Forget those false narratives. Remember the ones that are true, that originate from a space of greatness.
That's
And
good.
so I just, Lopez and I both felt that these sisters right here really emulate
Yes.
and have a lot of lessons to teach through their lived experiences that could, directly apply to remembering to forget.
Mm.
And then finally, remembering to name and engage in your joy. The third form of remembering is just that. And within this type of remembrance, we really call on you to intentionally locate, understand, name, and live your joy. We are inviting you to live your joy. If you can locate and understand and name that dance gives you joy, then we
Yes.
better see you dance. We better see you dance alone, right? If you can locate, understand, and name that baking or hiking or
Yes.
painting brings you joy,
That's
then we
good.
better see you baking and hiking and painting, right?
Yes.
Give yourself permission to engage in that joy that you can locate and name. And if you can locate and understand and name that gracefully twirling around to express
Yes.
your happiness fills you with joy, then we better see you twirling around like
Yes.
Queen Avant-Garde is twirling around in front of you right now. We invite you to go ahead and to name and engage in your joy. And so with that said, speaking of naming your joy, we're about to take them
I
on a
love it.
ride, right?
No doubt.
We're gonna release them, Lo. We're gonna release them to engage in this experience of creating your own joy anthem,
Yes.
your wellness reflection. It's your turn
Yes.
to create. And so we want to be able to leave you on this note and kind of give you, the breakdown. So I want to pass the mic to Lo to kind of take you through a couple of these directions. He'll hit you with the first two. I'll hit you with the last two. I pass the mic to you, Lo.
Yo, appreciate that, family. Thank you for naming that and just bringing that, culminating into this very essence and energy right now to allow us to create. Our creator created us so that we can create. And that's what we're going to do in this very moment right now. So you're going to take a moment to reflect on what brings you joy, food, people, places, spaces, etc. Things that really center that. And as you reflect on that, the next thing I want you to do is we collectively want you to reflect on that and write it down. So we're going to give you a Joy B STEM guide, starter guides to kind of help out with that process and think about it and topics. You don't got to follow it entirely, but we're just going to give you something to kind of help ideate that process and get things going. And then after they had that ideation process, Parker, what do we want them to do next?
They're just going to use the guide to help them create their poem, and then they're going to just take time to create. We're going to play some music, engage in the 777. We got a little model popping for you right now, and so we want to kick that to you. Yeah, let's rock it, Lo.
Yo, no doubt. We just want to give a model real quick and just center what some of our joy aspects are. So my joy be my abuelita's hot plates of rice and beans with sweet and savory plátanos, freshly baked chocolate chip cookies that melt in your hand. What's your joy be, Parker?
Yo, my joy be my mama's homemade barbecue ribs, ooey gooey mac and cheese. Yes, I said ooey gooey mac and cheese and perfect pecan pie.
Yo, my joy be hiking community freestyle with my little bro. What's your joy be, Parker?
Yo, my joy be the boom bap of hip hop beats bursting through speakers, the song of my daughter's laughter dancing in my ears, and basketballs bouncing on summertime city streets. What's your joy be?
Yo, collectively, I just want to talk about our joy. Our joy be our kindness, our brilliance,
our dedication,
our love,
our excellence,
our calmness,
our creativity,
our bravery to speak up and out against hatred and what, Parker?
And injustice. That's what our joy be. And so just wanted to give you a model, but also want to provide you with these stems. And so we're going to take time to create, or you're going to take time to create. We're going to vibe out. A vibe out session is where you put your full heart and focus on the poem. We're going to give you 7 minutes to do that. I'll break that down for you in just a second. Poetic license alert. Get free with your poems. There's no correct structure. We're just providing a suggested structure. But if you're like, yo, I got my own style, please rock that authentic style that's authentic to you. Get free with your theme. If you're like, yo, I know that we're focusing on this joy note, but there's something that's in my heart right now that I need to write about, and it's a different theme, go with it. We don't want to limit your creativity. And this is a 777 challenge, which means that you're going to write for 7 focused minutes, at least 7 lines of poetry, at least 7 words per line. Feel free to write using the old-fashioned thing called paper, or your notes in your phone, or your laptop. And so, yeah, let's go get it. 7 minutes on the clock, y'all. This is the part where we get dirty looks. Is like, you said 7 minutes. You could take that 7 minutes outside of this spot. We were told that we have a 45-minute slot to be able to present to you, and wanted to leave you with that opportunity to be able to create, name your own joy, and to hopefully engage in it. We do want to thank you, and I know that we stopped you, but we do want you to remember a couple of things. And so, Lo, why don't you we'll stagger this. We'll do every other one.
Yo, no doubt. We just want to invite you to continue this poem. Life is poetry. We're always writing the stories, writing the narratives, writing the joy. So we just invite you into this space to continue this reflection of poetry. And what else do we want to invite him to do, Parker?
Yeah, we invite you to continue to love up on yourself. Love up on yourself, recognize your value, recognize your worth, recognize the fact that you matter, and act upon that fact.
We want to invite you to remember what you owe yourself, like Parker mentioned before, with those elements of joy. Remember to forgive forget and forgive, and remember to name and engage in your joy, and consciously practice that. And what else we want to invite them to do, fam?
We invite you to intentionally center your joy, knowing that
Mm,
that matters. It's a necessity, and our ancestors have been models of that.
that's
Once
good.
somebody takes your joy away, they've taken your humanity away, and we
Mm,
refuse to let that happen. And so, with that, we bring you to a close. We want you to know that we love you, and there's nothing that you could do about it. Feel free to reach out. I know that you can get the connections through Melanin Magic. We want to give thanks to all of those who organized this, all the other presenters that kicked it and dropped gems for us to grow from and become the best versions of ourselves. And that's it. Peace.
peace, y'all. Peace. Much love. Much love. Much love.